Hello, Captain. Good day. This is an official report designed to support strategic recommendations on bilingualism, cultural awareness, and policy implementation within our operational framework. What follows is a mission oriented approach that highlights the importance of communication, diversity, and effective policy for successful leadership and international cooperation. Let's begin.
Hello, Captain. This is Paoli speaking. We're going to start the presentation with bilingual education. What is bilingual education? According to Garcia and Hamanov, 2014, bilingual education is the use of two or more languages in the instruction and assessment of learners. Page 1. This means students learn content through both their native and a second language, improving understanding and developing proficiency in both languages. For example, in a bilingual school, students learn in two languages. They might learn math in Spanish or science in English. This helps them understand school subjects and learn both languages at the same time. Now, we are going to continue with identity and bilingual education. What is identity? Gomez 2020 states identity has to do with the decisions people make. Page 14. Also, according to Baker 2006, cited by Gomez 2020, our identity is conveyed in our language, in our express and engagements, predilections, and preferences. Page 406. Identity means who we are, but we are not just one thing. People can have many parts of their identity. For example, age or gender, culture or traditions, religion, or, within that is very important, language. Why is language important for identity? It's a big part of who we are. When someone learns another language, they start to connect with a new culture. Bilingual people, they often have more than one identity. Now, we have some recommendations for identity in bilingual education. The first one is honor cultural and linguistic roots. You can do this respecting and integrating Colombian languages like Spanish and indigenous languages into the curriculum. The second one is promote intercultural communication. You can do it teaching universal or interstellar languages like English or a future global language alongside native languages. And the third one, encourage plural identities. You can do this teaching students that it's okay to belong to more than one culture or identity. They can be Colombian, bilingual, and space colonist all at once. But wait, important to avoid the diglossia. What is diglossia? Diglossia describes a situation where two languages varieties are used within a single society, each serving different but complementary roles. Jaspers 2017. In the colony, you can take this into account. It is important to avoid the diglossia because when one language is seen as more prestigious, the other may be undervalued. And also, the diglossia creates challenges for bilingual education. To finish the bilingual education part, now we have to see the bilingual education in multiple environments. It is important to be aware of bilingual education in real life and the challenges people face when using or learning more than one language. We have three cases, three examples. Bilingualism for professional success, adapting to fit needs, and the third one, a classroom full of variety. These cases show how bilingualism intersects with personal, academic, and professional needs, emphasizing the importance of adaptable and inclusive language education policies. For this, we have some recommendations. The first one is start bilingual education early. You can start the bilingual education in preschool with the children. The second one is design inclusive and multicultural spaces. You can create community centers to celebrate cultural and linguistic diversity. The third one is create multilingual public services in the colony. You can use multilingual signs in public spaces. And the last one is support for migrants and diverse families. You can do providing language classes and integration programs for newcomers in the colony.
Now we're going to talk about culture. We are in 2073 and our colony is ready to launch. We must prepare the society of over 122,000 people. So remember, culture is not just what we see. It can be how people give meaning to their lives. Brunner told us that almost everything we deal with in the social world couldn't exist without the symbolic system that gives it meaning. In other words, society is built through culture, and culture is made through symbols, language, and interaction. As Rosie and O'Higgins noted, culture both emerges from society and also structures it. This is why our language directive must consider culture, because it is what binds people together, even across the stars. Almost 200 years ago, Taylor said that culture is a whole of knowledge, beliefs, arts, laws, customs, and other inherited capabilities. But we must move beyond. As Trujillo explained, culture isn't static, it's lived and constructed. For Villarreal Alpha, culture must be seen as a shared and evolving reality. On the ship, we will need to teach both culture with capital C, history, philosophy, and science, and a lowercase c culture, daily routines, humor, greetings, and rituals, considering what Guillen and Yairy stated as formal and popular aspects. Take into account that 93% of people are civilians. This balance is essential for building meanings. Educational models of culture include behaviorist, functionalist, cognitive, and symbolist approaches. For the colony, we must recognize learners as symbolic beings who interpret, assign meaning, and reshape their world. Gertz offers a guiding view. Culture is an ordered system of meanings and symbols through which people define their world, express feelings, and make judgments. This symbolic cognitive view is ideal for the colony. It helps settlers go beyond vocabulary and understand how others see, feel, and act. A key recommendation is adopt a symbolic cognitive view of culture. Shift from teaching static cultural facts to developing students' ability to interpret and navigate cultural differences critically and reflectively. Trujillo explained that multiculturalism refers to the coexistence of different cultural groups in one space. In our ship, that's the everyday reality. Multiple ethnicities and regional identities live together. Likewise, multilingualism describes the presence of several languages, and in the colony we have over 10. Therefore, we should avoid a sensationalist view of culture that can lead to stereotypes and limit learning. So we must avoid statements like Chinese culture is like this or Spanish people are like that. Instead, promote dynamic, relational views of identity. In Villarreal Alpha, most social life will happen between people who share some things, but not everything. You should be aware of cultural diversity in your new society. Encourage teachers and students to recognize and value cultural diversity, both in the colony and within themselves. Multicultural policy must teach people to be curious, not categorical. Besides, plurilingualism is how individuals combine them in a real communication. Similarly, pluriculturalism is the ability to live and interact across several cultural frames. Trujillo showed that this competence is personal and cognitive. For instance, an engineer who speaks Spanish and English and understands Korean customs brings to the experience something that is more than linguistic, it's interpretive and relational. To support plurilingualism, we propose a policy of resocialization, as outlined by Trujillo. This means creating contexts where learners and residents use their full linguistic and cultural resources, provide varied educational experiences, literary, audiovisual, digital, to expose learners to different people, practices, and language usage. You can do this, for example, by plurilingual storytelling workshops, language exchange groups, or even interactive theater. These aren't just fun, they develop language competencies. Finally, interculturality, said Trujillo, is not just being exposed to other cultures, it's the ability to interact meaningfully across them. In Villarreal Alpha, with 50% of the population using multiple languages and cultural frames daily, some misunderstandings will be part of our growth. We must teach people to see them as learning moments. A good intercultural communication depends on reducing fear and increasing understanding. However, that integration takes time and education. So the priority is to train educators, leaders, and mediators to recognize bias, handle tension, and guide reflection. Language teachers must be bridge builders between people, cultures, and possibilities.
Hello, Captain. This is Laura talking. This report presents key linguistic guidelines for the development of bilingual and culturally inclusive education policies, tailored to the linguistic diversity of our colony. Our colony, as you know, is composed of over 113 people, 92% of whom are civilians. Spanish is the most common language, 54%, but there is significant linguistic diversity. English 22%, Chinese 8%, as well as French, German, Japanese, Afrikaans, and others. These languages must be preserved. As Gomez 2021 said, we must carefully consider the impact of language policy on minority communities. Imposing a single official language could lead to exclusion, so we need a policy that reflects our multilingual and multicultural reality. As the Model 2 states, language policies are not neutral, they are shaped by ideological, political, and historical factors. So here are my recommendations. First of all, functional bilingualism policy. Every person should be proficient in at least 2 languages, including the mission's common language, for example, English. Number 2, L1 maintenance programs. These ensure that individuals can continue developing their native languages alongside the dominant one. Number 3, mandatory intercultural education. This promotes cohesion between groups and helps prevent cultural conflicts. And finally, community participation in policy making. Teachers and local leaders, in this case, must be active participants in interpreting and adapting these policies. Implementation must go beyond top-down decisions. We must co-construct them with the community. Because a truly bilingual policy should promote linguistic equity, must recognize the value of all languages, ensure real opportunities for the development of proficiency in more than one language. I'm pretty sure you're wondering right now what to do. First of all, we need to think and reflect. Does this policy that you're thinking really promote bilingualism? Or maybe who benefits from this policy? Or how can I adapt it to the real needs of my people? Well, here we're gonna have 4 steps to follow up in order to have a very good policy established. First of all, policies that foster additive bilingualism and social justice. Focus on language maintenance, not just transition. Active participation of colony in policy design, so that's the moment to call them. And finally, to be agents of educational and linguistic change. However, and to sum up, a fair and realistic language policy will ensure the efficiency of our operations, promote social integration, and support the overall well-being of the colony. We recommend adopting an inclusive and adaptive approach aligned with the principles of linguistic justice.